Welcome to Bandit's Keep. I'm Daniel. In this video, I want to talk a little bit about spicing up your campaign, kind of when you're in the middle of it and it starts to wane a bit. So currently, I'm kind of in the middle of my campaign. We've been running for almost 2 years. The party is 7th, 8th level. They've been, at this level, they're going after bigger and better, if you will, goals, which take longer. And sometimes when you're running a campaign, after the first few levels, you hit these kind of dead spots. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that I've done. So 3 things that work really well to spice up the campaign, get it going again. It's worked for me in the past, and I'm about to implement some of these myself. So I'll start off by saying that I'm running a sandbox type campaign. And if you are running a campaign like that, the players are driving the campaign. So a lot of times you would think, well, it can never kind of hit a dull spot. The players are always doing the thing they want to do. Well, sometimes the players, start going in a direction, they get stalled, they're not sure, they do this, and it can linger a bit. So introducing some other elements into the campaign to kind of just spice it up, but not, let's say, direct them where to go, which would be more linear, is a good technique, I think. If you're running a linear campaign, or hopefully not a railroad where it's like really forcing something, and there's dead spots in the middle, then that might be where you want to introduce more player action. So in other words, if I was running a campaign where we're starting here, we're going to eventually collect these 17 stones and go here and defeat the dragon, and they're on stone 8 and it's getting a little boring, this is where looking back at what the players have been talking about in the past, looking into their backstories, looking into other things that have happened, and kind of throwing in a few what we might call side quests will work. That's, by the way, a bonus tip and not one of the things I thought of before I started recording. So let's get into the things I thought of. Number 1, this is something I use a lot, and this is vary the setting. I made a video a while back where I think I called it It's Always Sunny in D&D, where I talk about weather and stuff. But the idea there is this, right? People get used to the environment they're in. So even if you are having fun adventures, it's still kind of the same. So you can do this a lot of different ways, depending on the magic level of your campaign. The simplest way in a more mundane campaign is to set up a situation where the player characters are going to want to journey somewhere far away that there's not access to any other way except basically on mounts or on foot. So either they're traveling across a vast wasteland on horses, or they could be traveling through the jungle on foot. They could be on boats across the sea. They could be on griffins flying across the sky, across oceans in lava and a lava ocean. I'm going to put that down on my list. But someplace they need to go that's far away. In my 5th edition campaign, one of the things that was happening was they realized that undead were building up and they couldn't figure out what was happening to all of them. Well, at a certain point in the middle of the part of the campaign, they realized they had to get to this mountain, and what blocked their way was 100 miles filled with undead. Yeah. That spiced it up a little bit. Just varying it in that way. I mean, it doesn't have to be 100 miles of undead, but it could be, again, wasteland, jungle, sea, just mixing it up a little bit. Even doing something to the effect of, if they're in, doing more of a city-based campaign, which we will get back into, sending them to parts of the city they're not used to going into. Things that are different, not because it's a different city, but because there's a different culture they have to deal with and different ways they have to deal with things. Infiltrating a thieves guild, or let's say the royalty, if that depends on who the player characters are, right? Just changing up the environment, introducing a variety of different environments throughout the campaign will keep it fresh. This also means you don't have to change much. If the player characters are searching for things, let's say the 9 artifacts, which is one of my early campaigns I ran, I didn't actually place each artifact until, because it was a very linear campaign, one at a time they got them. They got them as a series of poems. But basically, I didn't decide where each one was until they got the last one, so I could play out the campaign a bit. And if we were getting bored in the mountain section they were in, well, all of a sudden you're going across the sea. And this allowed me to kind of mix it up, because again, that does make a difference. Okay, this one could be, and let me know if you want, an entire video in and of itself, which is introduce a mystery plot. These are tricky, but not so much once you have the proper tools. The thing with the mystery is it doesn't have to be so obvious, although it could be, as something like a murder, right? Classic murder mystery. It could be something was stolen. Maybe the mystery is they find some kind of relic that they don't know how to operate, so the mystery is them figuring out how it works. The idea with the mystery is that the player characters are going to switch from the mode of fighting stuff and going to dungeons to more role play, possibly. Or if they're a heavy role play group, right? You've been in town, you're role-playing all the time, interacting. Maybe the mystery for them becomes an exploration where they have to, oh, there's crypts beneath this, castle that we want to investigate to figure out what this mystery is, right? Because they find a book with like pages torn out, right? You can introduce this mystery any way you want, but the idea is you want to have some kind of payoff. It's something that nobody knows and that they can't figure out via even the magical means ahead of it. They can't speak with dead. They can't, at least not any dead that they can have easy access to. They can't just use magic to figure it out. You've got to set it up in such a way, which does make a D&D mystery a little more tricky. Maybe this would be a video. Again, let me know. In any case, a mystery is a really fun way. I actually use the module, the Assassin's Knot, to create a whole slew of things in my campaign. I used it as a centerpiece when they were about 4th level. To kind of, again, they went through the first few levels and then it kind of slowed down. So we pushed in with the mystery and it really spiced things up. Since then, I've run other kinds of mysteries. They're really fun. I think a lot of people think of them as one-shots, but inserting them into a campaign, I think works really well because the players aren't just using some character they made for the mystery. They're using the character that they've been using all along with the gear that they've had all along, and they'll find creative new ways to use it, which again, spices up the campaign. All right, so this final one is really something that we should be doing more often, but sometimes, again, based on the campaign, especially when you hit mid-tier, happens less often, which is rewards, right? If we are first level and we're going into a dungeon, even a sack of 100 gold pieces is a great reward, right? A +1 dagger, all these things are fantastic. When we get to mid-level and we're looking at the characters and we're like, well, they don't need another +1 dagger. And then we just start, well, the joy of the, the game is the reward, which is true. But, when you're doing stuff, let's say you're running a combat heavy campaign where there's lots of fighting, they're clearing out dungeons or they're protecting a borderlands or it's part of a war, whatever the reason might be, this is what they're doing. Well, you know what? Giving them some new fun tools to do that with. And I don't mean, a +2 dagger. You could give them something that's expendable, maybe some kind of potion of dragon breath or, a shield that it helps them. Give them something that's different because giving the characters rewards throughout the course of the campaign, whether they be items, which we're talking about now, or what I'm about to talk about, keeps them refreshed. Right? It's like you're on like a sugar high when you're playing the game, right? And then you're starting to doze, and then you take that, eat a cookie, and and this is it, right? It's good for us too, as GMs, to stay motivated. Give the characters rewards and give it to them now. Don't make them wait to get the +5 holy adventure. Give them something building up to it. And on that note, the rewards don't need to be items. They can be, especially at the beginning. But what you might want to do as far as the rewards is give them things like titles, so they can have access to things, friends and allegiances, things like horses, or, in situations horses are expensive, or possibly a ship, going back to that idea, right? That's actually what's probably going to happen in my campaign. We're in this area where there's a lot of islands, and apparently they've decided to stick here, which, by the way, the reason why we got here was because I did the terrain thing, and they moved to a pocket dimension. But they've been settled in here for a couple of levels now, and it seems like they're going to stay. They have been traveling, which you might say sounds cooler, on a dragon turtle. But, now it's kind of like, oh, we need something called the dragon turtle. Time to spice things up. I think I'm going to put somewhere in their path a way they can get a boat. Because dragon turtles are cool, but a boat means adventure. So again, there's 3, I guess 4, because I said something at the beginning. Quick ideas to help kind of spice up your campaign. If you want to see something about a mystery, I think I'm going to start working on this because it feels like, as I was saying it, you guys want it, but let me know for sure. How to build a mystery in D&D. Let me know if you'd like a video on that. Also, would you like a few more tips like this? I actually made a list of 6, but I figured 3 was a good place to start. So I got 3 more tips. If you're interested, let me know in the comments below. Please do like the video and share it with your friends and also your enemies. I mean, just, they might like it, right? Why not? Anyways, subscribe to the channel. Check the show notes. You'll find all kinds of stuff down there. You're going to find a link to my Discord server. Lots of great people over there talking about gaming. You can find a link to my t-shirts if you want a t-shirt. You can find a link to my Patreon to support the channels. And you can find links to lots of the games I talk about. Because every once in a while I'll get a DM where somebody's like, what's that game that you were looking at? That's down in the show notes usually. And if it's not, let me know. In any case, I'll talk to you soon.